IVM.
Long ago, three young men decided to form an alliance and get into a future. The three men were Amar, Akbar, Anthony, and the film, of course, was beautiful. But we have three other men who formed a geek fruit. Not so interesting story. But their future is all about science fiction, nerd culture, and comic books. That's right. If you're too lazy to read a full book, read a comic book. If you're too lazy to read a comic book, let Geek Fruit tell you about a comic book and comic books. New episodes out on the IVM podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Kripaya dhyan dijiye. The language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative. Okay, cock and bull, C and B. Wonderful. We're in a partial lift-off. We'll talk about that in detail. We're almost, I won't say we're free, but it's like 1947, August 10th. Or 5th.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2nd. Yeah. I'm not quite sure. We'll come to it. But I just want to quickly rant about ageism, which has now become the new problem. I know George Floyd's going on in the background and racism is always an issue in India as well. But ageism is one thing that I am going to fight now as I age myself. Already the parks have opened in Mumbai and the guys have said that over 60 not allowed. Now here's my point. I can't understand that because walking as a sport is actually an over 60 vocation. If you look at it, 86% of the people who want to walk are 60 plus. And those under have other sports to do like disco, chasing animals. I don't know what Amit's generation does or Antariksh or Sidhu. We'll come to that slowly. But I think it's blatant ageism. I feel so bad for all those old people who were dying to walk in hanging gardens and Malabar, I'm talking about my area, of course, PDP, Oval Maidan, Azad Maidan, all these places, and they can't go because they're 60. And they'll probably have to carry ID now. What if you're one of those white-haired guys at 47, and you look 60 because of 3 marriages and a bad liver? These things happen to anyone. So ageism, folks, that's our fight here on Cock and Bull.
Namaskar, dear Bandhu. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. These are truly challenging times, and in these times, we need hope. Do take time to listen to my podcast, Begin the Journey. Available on IVM Podcasts, website, app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, there is hope because there's one life and we are alive.
We are joined by a man who is known as, well, in Parsis, or rather amongst Parsis, or even I think maybe Gujaratis, if you say dudu, we normally think milk, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
And the double meaning is breast. So dudu majenuch hai, which is basically how you describe, well, I wouldn't describe it, but you know what I mean. So when I heard Silverie offline calling you Dudu, Mr. Siddharth Dudeja, comedian extraordinaire, welcome to the show. Is that a happy moniker for you?
I don't care about it anymore. I mean, I can't stop people from doing things. Like calling me things, so I've stopped caring.
But I'm telling you, if you were in Kushrubag or Rustumbag or in Parsi colony and somebody shouted, "Hey, Dudu!" everybody will be confused because there's a variety of meanings we can go to, but not a comedian somewhere from the northern districts of Mumbai. All right, Amit, welcome. Silverie, welcome. Siddharth, welcome. And we're back here. Has anything changed? Day 3 of a partial. Is it partial? I don't even know.
So I went out yesterday. I went right next to your office, actually, towards the Kalagoda area. And it was still fairly empty. There were not that many people, right? So I've actually been out 2 days in a row, Monday and Tuesday. So Monday was the first day the lockdown opened. And when the lockdown was opening, I had been lucky enough to have somebody's car who had to park in my building. And so I just I had a car with me. And that guy wanted his car back. So on the first day of the lockdown, the car was going back. And so then I went out to do some errands, right? And then while I was there, I just let me take a round. I'll go down Breach Candy. I'll come up Pedder Road, go via Valkeshwar and come back, right? Just take the round. And it wasn't, I didn't see anything new open. Everything that was open before
Amit, you
was
just
open now.
upset all the people who live in parts of Mumbai which are not as ebullient, fresh, should I say enterprising, or the right word would be affluent. So by mentioning these terrible parts, you upset a lot of incomplexity people. Apologize now. I went up Breach Candy, I came down Valkeshwar. This is where the rich people, they don't think we have problems. Don't you understand the rest of the world?
But I have to apologize for my privilege, of course, right? Every time I mention something like that, you must apologize for it.
This is our version of white man's privilege, just spot on. The South Bombay privilege is our version.
I know, so I apologize for the privilege, but at the same time, I did take the round and there was nothing new open, right? The same stores were open, the provision stores, restaurants, the snack stores, stores. You have same places were open.
Aren't open.
Well, restaurants are open in the sense of delivery, right? I mean, like,
Delivery,
but you can't go inside unless you're wearing a uniform.
But all of them, they were all open. And then yesterday, I didn't have the car and I had to go, right? I had an errand that I needed to run, so I had to go. And I took an Uber. And so Ubers are back.
Yeah, they're back.
Yeah.
And they do this really interesting thing, right? Actually, you know what, Antariksh, I'll send you this picture. You can send it to other people later. But it's basically, they have this plastic covering. You can put it on, like, the show note. You can put a link over there. But they have this plastic covering around the driver. Right, so the driver is basically completely sealed off in like this kind of in this plastic area, and then you're sitting in the back seat. So there's like a divider between us. I thought that was really interesting.
But if I want to physically tip the driver, old-fashioned cash or coins, does he have an opening in his mouth or bum area or something where I can insert the coins and say thank you, great trip?
I actually had to make a cash payment. I'm sorry to step on your joke, but I had to make a cash. I actually had to make a cash payment because I took a rental. I just had to go pick something up and come back, right? And so I didn't want to take a car and then have to get another car. So I took this rental that they had, and rentals you can only do cash. So I had to pay cash. So basically the way to do cash was you had to put cash on the side.
Okay.
And then how does he give the change back if it's not exact?
I gave him an extra $5. I mean, like, my bill was $255. I gave him $260.
Was he wearing gloves?
I don't know. I just put the money on the seat and I walked away. So I didn't see how he collected it.
Wow. So this is great news for really ugly drivers. Because in the past, nobody wants to hire a really ugly driver. Now you don't really see him. So that is not a problem.
Transparent plastic, yeah.
You think?
But I like how Cyrus's concern is like tipping the driver in cash. That's such a 40+ thing.
I'm a miserly person and I don't like to spend money, but I love to tip labor. I always want them to feel happy. So I don't want to pay for the pizza, for example. I want to give the delivery boy. I don't know if people think like this, but it's a paradox and it's bad. But I always tip. And I try to do the traditional 10%. I do. But honestly, it can be painful because oftentimes it's like 457 rupees and you have to give 45.7 back. And, it's a real pain in the what. Do you guys tip now that we brought it up?
Mostly. I mean, like at restaurants and stuff like that. I prefer
CC tip or cash tip because they never get the CC tip.
No, they get the CC tip, but I will do both. I mean, I won't always do cash if I don't have cash. I've been somebody who doesn't put too much cash in.
Yeah.
Or doesn't carry that much cash. So I normally do it on the credit card or what have you. But I tip. I mean, like I try and tip wherever possible.
Silverie? Are you a tipper?
I do tip. I tip like the regular amount. Like if it's 200, then I'll tip $20. If it's 300, I'll do 30.
Okay, don't do maths with us now for the rest of the day. This show will be even more boring than it already is. Oh, sweet. We cut 45 minutes later. 80,000, I give him 8,000 rupees. Come on! There are a couple of people who actually listen to our show hoping to have a better life after that. Hey, Dudu, you're the comedian, huh? I'm expecting humor. Lots.
No, so I only tip in restaurants where it doesn't just service charge, because I guess I asked a few friends who work at restaurants, do you guys get service charge tip? They're like, yeah, at the end of the month. So, yeah, I'm a moral kind of a person.
But that money goes to them?
Yeah, it goes to them. They divide it completely.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Of course.
What do you think about service charges, right? I mean, like, I don't like it. We're going to see restaurants going to be completely redone in some ways, right?
The waiter is going to be redundant. It's going to be more self-service style, firstly. Yeah. If you see the way your cash transaction, your transactions will be with only machines, no hand touching.
I think iPad menus are going to become much more kind of important.
Yeah.
So I think waiters more than comedians are in trouble now in terms of work. Because comedians can still work as waiters. But now where does the waiter go? He's got nowhere else to go.
We'll be the iPad.
Dude, don't laugh about this, poor waiters.
Yeah, no, not laughing at them.
That's a whole group of people all across India who do work, which is actually, they're like the models of the lower class, All they do is pick up a tray, something is in it, and you deliver it. Frankly speaking, I don't think it's like, rocket science from any angle. Yeah. And they still get it wrong sometimes.
But it's a tough job. It's like, especially at UDP and all, if you have to wait.
They're great. They're fantastic. They're so quick.
Yeah.
What I like is that, but it also trains them for marriage and stuff, dealing with in-laws, because people are so rude in India, without meaning to be, we just talk down, hey, idhar chai. It's just unnecessary. Nobody, only in our culture, without meaning to be mean, we're mean.
Yeah.
I've never understood people who act like that, right? I mean, like, you go to a restaurant and it's like, hey, you're never this rude to anybody else, but in a restaurant, you feel the ability to be rude.
And you'll never do it in the West. The same guy, we'll put him in friggin' Argentina where he can't speak the language or whatever, and he'll be, excuse me, sir. It'll be totally different, the whole experience. Yeah. I can say I've riveted you with my stupid conversation on waiters and tips.
No, but it's disgusting. It's crazy how people.
The conversation or the okay,
no,
fair enough.
Yeah. No, just people's general attitudes annoy me, right? I mean,
it's never going to change.
Stuff.
We're a caste system. I think it all comes from there.
Yeah.
The top dog, bottom dog mentality, which just continues all the time.
Do you guys think it's like the whole taxi thing being enclosed and it's increasing the whole like classism thing?
Well,
like
yeah.
a safety for now.
Yeah, it does. It for sure it does. That's why I people who sit in the back seat, if you notice, Europeans sit in the back seat sometimes when they're in India. Americans tend to always sit in the front seat because they are more egalitarian, whether you like it or not. So they just, I think it's a huge thing. I think it's insulting of the driver when you sit in the back seat, unless of course there's a reason for sitting in the back seat.
I always sit in the back seat, like always, without.
But you're a big boy, Amit. You don't fit half the time. They need two cars for you.
That is one part of it. But I mean, like the other part of it is, I feel like this guy's not my buddy. He's not my friend, and this is not like a class thing. He's not somebody this.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I want him to have his space. I want me to have my space, right?
On the other hand, they don't like me after sometimes I want to be their friend, and I speak in my bad Hindi and I want to talk non-stop, especially long drives.
But I
many
think
taxi drivers have told me, sir, aap piche baito, please.
Yeah. No, but I think that really is the other part of it, right? You sit in the front of a cab and you're opening yourself up to conversation, which I'm not really keen on.
Amit, when you're in friggin' Delhi trying to find Faridabad and you're 1.5 hours in a car, the guy entertains you a little bit. You discuss politics, sex, cricket, marriage. Sometimes, there's a oneness about two men in a car from different cultures or whatever who have the same problems. So I must say, I do appreciate those conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, those conversations are fun, for sure.
Yeah.
No, now you guys are all into your phones and gadgets. Just think 10 years back when you didn't have that option. It's like in the airports or the station or bus stop.
Carry a book,
you talk to people.
I used to carry a book.
But Amit, then you're a snobbish motherfucker from
I'm not a
Walkeshwar.
snobbish motherfucker. I don't like talking to people like that, right?
How do you read in cabs? Like my head starts hurting.
Well, I mean, like I don't anymore, but I mean, like I used to. I still do. Now you have the Kindle, right? So you just zoom up this text size.
No, in the old days, you'd put the book on the back of the cabbie.
Yeah, cab, and
then tell them to just stay in one position while driving and you read.
Oh man, like.
No, you did. You used it as a rest. You used the back of the seat as a rest to hold your book. And so, like, whenever the book is moving, you're moving with it.
Okay, that sounds very sexual. And again, my sex is with the book only, so I totally get where you're coming from. Okay, guys, let's talk. Antariksh has got a few topics, I think, lined up. And then they all go to waste.
So, firstly, let's start off with Arvind Kejriwal. Since Sunday, he was unwell, and everyone suspected that he had coronavirus. He got a test yesterday, and it came back as negative. So, he does not have coronavirus. Which is great news for Delhi.
On a funny note, definitely our virus is not able to take on the politicians for whatever reason. Their immunity is just much better than the Aam Aadmi. Forget the pun here for Kejriwal.
Well, no, our friend Sanjay Jha was...
but he came back in 2 days, nothing happened to him. He felt great.
He had a mild case, but he did test positive.
Okay, but also the BMC, one of the BMC officials, high-ranked officials, died yesterday.
Yesterday, the deputy commissioner passed away.
But then those guys are actually on field. I'm talking about the mantris who are just telling you to stay safe while they are in their bungalows in Lonavala, which is a slightly different story altogether. Yeah.
But it shows that Kejriwal is a clean guy. He doesn't get any virus, no rishwat. I think it's all a stunt.
Hey, bugger, he's from IIT. All right? If you've eaten IIT food for so many years, you can take on anybody anywhere. Don't worry about it. These engineers, none of them will succumb.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think you're right about the politician thing, right? I mean, like, across the world, right? I mean, like, the number of politicians who got it are fairly low if you think about it, right? Boris Johnson, right? That's the only
But he came back. He came back. He's fit as a fiddle, abusing everyone in sight.
Yeah.
This is like a conspiracy theory, which I feel that most rich people don't die of cancer. Like their survival rate is way higher than normal people.
Same with AIDS.
Due to
AIDS
not getting treatment for the lesser privileged and not getting access to treatment and good treatment. Nothing else. How can you do that?
No, but you're 100% true, right? I mean, it is about access to treatment. It is, it's very much that, right? I mean, like the rich in India have much different life expectancies than the poor do. This is true everywhere in the world. I mean, like honestly, this is not just an India thing because top of the line healthcare is extremely expensive, right? I mean, like even in the US or even in UK or
it's a contentious topic in the US and the UK. Very contentious topic also. People shoot before racism. That was the big one. Healthcare, Obamacare, shoot you, bang. Oh, and you're black. Shoot you again, bang. I'll come to that. I've got lots to talk about on George Floyd.
No, but I think that it really is a thing, right? I mean, like you see the difference in care, right? I mean, like right now when you look at some of the pictures that are coming out from some of these hospitals,
Yeah.
and you think of your experience in hospitals or my, I mean, like I'm sure all of us have been to visit people in hospitals at
Hmm.
various places, and we're all.
Here's an illustration of what you're saying. A friend of mine, Perry Road boy, Rich, same background as us.
Huh.
Basically, the cook got it.
Huh.
They took him to Beach Candy. He's in a common ward or whatever, and they're doing what they can, right?
Yeah.
Then they had to be tested, and one of the relatives had to be, put in, and a bed materialized. Now,
Right.
I'm not getting into the nitty-gritty of the whole thing, but there is definitely a different stream for certain people, in spite of the fact that 99% beds are occupied, what have you, etc.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, honestly, rich people are self-quarantining in ways that poor people cannot, right? I mean, like, there was this
Yeah.
big blog post that I read about a family, joint family, basically 3 generations or 4 generations all living over 3 floors.
Yeah, so they have the options.
There were 17 people in the joint family, out of which 11 of them tested positive. Nobody tested super serious, but they were talking about the kinds of things that they were able to do, right? Locking themselves into rooms, making sure that people are not this.
So COVID treatment is like a marriage. Absolutely the same thing. You try and avoid your relatives, your spouse, your kids, everything, and you're good to go. So rich people can afford to do that. The first thing you do when you make money is, I need another bathroom. That's any male anywhere in the world is like, I need another bathroom, I need another den, I need another. That's what they do. This
You
whole
want
big
your
house thing is all
spaces.
crap. It's done only. If I had more money, we'd have 17 houses by now. We'd be on Skype or Zoom. That's it. That would be love. Happy anniversary, baby. Oops, sorry, Wi-Fi. Boom, gone. I tell you guys, you have no idea. The rich really have got it right. Yeah, but now that we started the partial, whatever you want to call it, I don't even want to call it sort of freedom. What's the next step? Are we going to get more cases? Are we going to again get locked down for a little while?
We will see more cases, but we need to see more testing to happen, right? I mean, our testing rates have been like dramatically kind of static, in the sense that we're testing about 1 lakh a day, and that's what we've been testing for the last like 3 weeks, I think, right? And that should be increasing as our number of cases are increasing, and they're not, right? There's like one number which is particularly disturbing in Maharashtra, which is the number of tests conducted to the number of positives that you get. And that number should be going down, and instead that number is gradually rising and staying steady. That's at 11% or 12%. That's not
Wow.
good. That's not good, because that means that we're not going out and finding people who have COVID. We're only testing the people who are coming to get tested.
Also, on a more serious note, if you guys understand, explaining to people Western philosophy, which gives you a negative test as positive and a positive test as negative, causes a lot of confusion when I try to tell, like my sabzi wala was talking to me about it. I was trying to explain to him, no, negative sahi hai. No, sir, negative both bekar hai. No, negative sahi hai. So that's another big issue.
Wow,
Why can't we just have negative meaning negative and positive meaning positive?
There was this news story which I'll just check again, but there was this Thane lab
Don't
which
bother.
started.
We don't verify anything.
The
Go on.
Thyrocare, no, that was nonsense.
Yeah, that was nonsense.
That was nonsense. I mean, like, yeah, there are false positives, but any kind of testing has false positives.
Okay.
The thing is that the amount of see, there is so much political nonsense going around everything, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like every aspect of how this is being dealt with, whether it's in
Yeah.
India, whether it's in the US, there's just so much political like it drives me insane that you have to kind of look through, read something, think about, okay, what are the political biases? Look at the reactions to that. Think about, okay, who is the person coming at this person? And then you
Yeah.
have to kind of filter it like
Yeah,
that.
but you have to have a
insane.
basically suspicious nature to do that.
You have to.
Distrust for humanity, which age gives you.
You're bombarded with like so many news stories every day that after a point you are like, okay, I'm not sure. Like, see, even right now while talking to you guys, I was like, I'll check it once. I'm not too sure about it.
Right.
But yeah, before spreading it, definitely, like before forwarding it to someone else.
Because Thyrocare is still testing in Bombay. It's in Thane that they're not being, that they were basically asked to stop testing. But in Bombay, they're still testing. They're testing in other parts of the country as well. So, I mean, like,
Why were they stopped in Thane?
they got false positives. There are false positives. People who did not have it got a positive report saying that they did have it. Though it can also be that, I mean, like,
That's
it's
the
a
ultimate bakra, by the way. I'm
No,
thinking
but it's also a
as
virus,
candid
no,
camera
Cyrus.
goes.
You test it one day and you don't have it 5 days later doesn't mean that you didn't necessarily also have it on that first day.
Good point.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like, it's Thyrocare is a good company, right? I mean, like, in the sense that the guy who runs it is like, this legend. He was on Vishal Gondal show way back when, like, absolute legend in terms of in this testing space, right? In this diagnostic space. So I mean, like, it seems somewhat motivated to me, but who the hell knows, right? At the end of it, who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Maybe the people who are telling me that it's motivated are motivated.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all
Yeah, I
inception, man.
Yeah.
Dude, all you're doing is saying, yeah, 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 yeah. You sound like a member of the old Congress because that's all they have to say. The Prime Minister will now talk and you go, yeah, this is before Manmohan Singh, so don't say anything. Yeah. This guy, you got to say, yeah.
I wasn't born then, so I wouldn't know. 93 and
93, the worst year. Babri Masjid, everything. What are you talking
I
about?
was,
The riots and bomb blasts and...
I was born during the riots, yeah.
Oh, really? Like
Jeez.
actually in the virus?
Wow.
Yeah, like 93 riots. I was like a
And
child
keep in mind the irony, because the Sindhi community had to run away from Pakistan and come mostly to Mumbai and places like that back in 47. And
Yeah.
it repeats itself in a sense when this
And-
young, great man, the grandson of Hiranandani himself and Raheja, I'm sure
I
right,
wish-
right now they don't have any money because you don't know what's buying, but it might come back in the market. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be we'll talk about that in another episode, but we've got to talk about businesses and what's going where, what's going to happen to what.
It's hard, man.
speculation-wise.
I mean, like I'm talking to people. People are going bust. They can't make payroll in July. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like literally going bust right now. Medium businesses, left, right, and center. They have no choice. They said, I mean, I was talking to this guy. So Nagdevi trader, right? I mean, like aware of that?
Yeah, I have a segue question which is in my brain and I can't get it out. If businesses are going to go bust, how will we contribute correctly to the Prime Minister's next fund? I feel we got to pause here and figure this one. Sid, you tell me, you're the young one here, you and Silverie. What's the way to put money back in the economy so we can give the Prime Minister's fund more money?
I mean, see, we are the worst people to reply because Nirmala Didi has blamed me and
Didi,
Antariksh
Didi,
particularly.
Chachi, Didi, no,
Chachi.
Didi, my foot. She's older than me. How dare you, Didi?
Your Didi, my Chachi.
Your Dudu, she's Didi. What the fuck conversation is that? Didi, yaar. Dudu. Bolo Didi. What the hell? No way.
She said that we have to be blamed for not buying cars. We are using Uber. So, like,
Yeah,
millennials are
correct.
blamed for everything. You can easily put COVID on us also. Because millennials eating.
Yeah, 19. It's 19. I mean, it makes sense. COVID-19 is you guys.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. Don't make light of this situation, boys.
Will you be looking for a car, Siddharth? Do you drive a car right now, and will you be looking for
I
one?
do. It's my dad's car. But I don't think I can afford my own car though.
Okay.
Let's see Dussehra Diwali, how it plays out. I would love
Yeah.
to see how it plays out. This for the first time is a challenge. But I think Indians will rise to that occasion. And I think for the consumer, if you want to save this country of ours, the consumer will really benefit. This is what I hope. That, people just have to figure out ways and schemes. The products have to sell. If they don't sell in the Dussehra, Ganpati to Diwali period, if we don't have a decent rise, boss, I don't know what's going to happen after that.
But where's the money to buy stuff? That's the
Yeah.
Look, I'm not an economist. I'm just saying that somebody has to start putting money back into the system, literally buying and selling. Literally, it's as simple as that. We just have
20
to.
lakh crores.
Yeah, I know, but Amit, then what's going to happen? So you tell me Dussehra shopping, all these ads and all, we're normally nothing?
I don't know. The advertising industry is not picked up yet. I mean, like the brand industry, from every conversation I have had, there are still significant kind of gaps over there. Things have not picked up there, right? So I don't know. I really don't.
So what you're saying is only pharma will be able to advertise to Diwali. Hey, come on, buy Viagra, 7 for 1, special offer.
It's not just pharma, right? So what was kind of really interesting, right, is that the world's billionaires during this pandemic have
made more money.
Yeah, they've increased their wealth by $500 billion. Right.
Well,
so I mean, like there is
Specifically
definitely.
IT guys, like you look at Amazon and
It
Bill
was
Gates and.
So they were talking about the Forbes 500. This was a Forbes 500.
But does
thing.
it go into production? People who make their money on retail production, those kind of things.
See, basically, if you're a billionaire, your money comes from stock market. That's where your
Fair
wealth is. Your wealth is not coming from income generated.
All right.
Right, and the stock market and the kind of like that, there's not really
Look
kind
at
of.
Spotify with that
Yeah,
one Joe
look at
Rogan
Spotify.
deal and how they went
Yeah.
through the roof.
Yeah.
And
When
haven't
is
sent
Cyrus's
us
deal
the 10
coming?
million.
Well, that's the question.
Mera number kab aayega was an ad I shot in 1999, 2000, somewhere there. And I'm still waiting. Kab aayega?
So, and,
Wistfully, he looks at the sky.
so like an Indian company landed the biggest ever solar power deal, Adani Green Energy. They landed the largest ever solar power
Interesting
deal in the
choice.
world. So
that's something we know
their
about
stock
Adani.
went up by like at least like
That's interesting. Yeah.
10.
No, but I mean, like there is stuff that's happening. It's not like the world has gone to sleep, right? There is definitely stuff happening. The thing is that a lot of the businesses that are going to see early recoveries are the kinds of businesses that are more deep businesses, right? But the stuff that employs a lot of people, right, and is not so that's going to be hard, right? Restaurants, BPOs in India,
You're talking about the vehicle industry, for example, a 2 or 3 year slump just started to recover towards the last quarter. And then this happened.
But I think cars will be fine. I honestly think that that's so. I think that the
it's
number
symptomatic
of, people,
of purchasing anything. If cars are bought, very symbolic of the rest of purchasing power.
I think what's happened is that exactly what Dudeja was saying, right? That we had that a lot of people had gone to let's get into Uber, let's use cabs, let's use public transportation for multiple reasons. It made sense from a cost perspective, but it was also better from like a carbon footprint perspective and that kind of thing as well, right? So a lot of people were looking at that, but I think that's out the window now, right? I mean, like, dude,
also
I'm buying
logistics.
a car. I'm buying a car. I've been without a car for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Right. I let my car go 5 years ago when Uber first entered India. I was like, screw it. This works for me. I don't want a car. I don't like to.
So you're buying a car right now?
Well, I'll buy a car in the next month or two. I will.
Are you serious? Have you looked at prices and all?
No, I haven't. But what options do I have? I'll have to buy something.
I'm sure
I don't have any money. I'm damn broke right now, given the podcasting industry sucks. But, I mean, or the advertising industry sucks rather than the podcasting industry sucks. But given that, this, I don't see a choice. I mean, how do you manage? How do you, right now, if I have to go to the store to pick something up, right? You can do that if you're going within close. But at my house, the store is not that close. And also, I mean, you need a car. You need transportation.
Fair enough. Guys, don't tell them about online shopping, huh? That's a terrible. Yeah, just keep that between us. Don't mention that.
Completely unaware of online shopping. I never knew that such a thing existed.
But what is this? Adani is winning some green environmental...
No, don't use the word winning. See, I don't like that word. What do you mean by winning? Winning means like a championship took place like Wimbledon and you beat lots of people fair and square. What the hell are you talking about? It's the winning. Silverie, explain that. What do you mean by winning? They got the bid.
Yeah, and weren't they destroying corals in Australia last year?
And you're worried about that now.
I'm just thinking about Adani's.
Wow, it's a $6 billion project.
$6 billion.
It's the biggest deal in the world.
And all we want for our podcast company to take off is what, 10 million? 10 million? I mean, that's like change. I mean, the guy just sticks his pocket, is a yellow. I'll tip you cash.
We don't even need 10. We can do with less than that also.
I want 10, Baba. I've got to repair work in Alibag after the cyclone. Dudeja, you're the finance man. Advise us. How much money do we need?
I think 10 million is not bad. It's a good starting point.
अगर दे रहे हो तो give 100 million only. Why 10 million?
No, don't.
Are we talking rupees or are we talking dollars?
Anything.
Oh man, to have this conversation and none of us are on narcotics, it's amazing.
No, I mean honestly, 10 million rupees is not enough.
It's just 10 million rupees. Never mention that R word.
Yeah,
rupees.
It's not enough. Yeah,
please. It's euro or dollar, nothing else. Okay, guys, shall we take a break? We're half an hour on into the show.
Yeah.
All right,
I think we'll take a break because all these fantasies of ours have gone from sex to money, and neither of them are being successfully manipulated. So we'll come back in a second.
बेटा, did you know 79% of all scientists in NASA are Indian only?
देखो, इंडिया में टैक्स सिर्फ मिडिल क्लास भरती है. Everyone is just enjoying free यार.
आजकल के youngsters are only interested in partying and enjoying. उनको देश की पड़ी ही नहीं है.
बेटा तुम बस शादी कर लो, उसके बाद तो you can enjoy life like anything.
I will tell you what this country needs. This country needs 15 years of dictatorship. That is the only way to become a superpower. See the Chinese, how much they've progressed.
सुनो, तुमने ये WhatsApp forward देखा?
So what's common between all of these statements?
They're all absolutely rubbish.
Fake WhatsApp forwards that spread like wildfire.
And statements that defy any logic.
We are here to debunk them all.
Way of family WhatsApp groups, worst nightmare. Where what happens when you read a book.
Basically, we are just a bunch of guys who want to cut through the bullshit of everyone saying this, how it won't be true.
So that the next time someone confidently squeezes out some WhatsApp or Twitter BS, you can look them dead in the eye and go, Uncle, please sit.
So join me, Joel.
And me, Tushar.
Every Mondays for a fresh new episode of Uncle, Please Sit.
We haven't started the...
Dudu, we're back while you're rambling on from there. Are you in a car? For those who can see this visually, which I don't know, but it looks like the chair that you're sitting on, it looks exactly like the front seat of a, one of those Japanese cars.
Yeah.
He does look like he's in a vanity van.
You miserly Sindhi boy. You took your seat out of your car and brought it up during this pandemic. Unbelievable. I respect you so much, bro. That's beautiful. Yeah. All right, Silverie, the second half, let's get some real stories in. We've just been freebieling.
We were talking about businesses and their doing good business during this time. Parle G has recorded its best sales in the last 8 decades during this lockdown.
As in the biscuit part?
The biscuit, just the biscuits. How that happened is one of their employees was saying that during this lockdown, Parle G became the comfort food for many, and for several others, it was the only food that they had on them. So, like people who could not buy bread can still buy Parle G.
Yeah.
And then like certain state governments ended up ordering like bulk huge orders. They were always like in touch with Parle G management. Okay, how much stock do you have? Okay, we want this much. Give us this much.
Silverie, I'm a huge contributor to that. Sorry to interrupt. Huge contributor to that. Because every time I try to make love to my wife, she gives me a biscuit. And this has been going on for a long time. It's a cricket sledge from before. I'm sorry to borrow it. Before I'm exposed by Dudu.
So yeah, Parle G is doing great, turns out. And makes sense though, right?
So there is not silver lining, but there is some success stories.
Oh yeah, Maggie. I'm sure Maggie's never done better.
All those consumers.
Sure,
the food consumption.
And it's
fellows.
great, like Parle factory shut, right? The Bombay flagship Ville Parle.
Oh, they're back up. I don't know. Parle G production is back up from the March 25th only. They started back up pretty early.
Well, to be honest, all of us, I don't know about you guys, but we've stocked on biscuits in the beginning a lot. Yeah. Not that we are big biscuit eaters, but it was something that we just kept. And I think a lot of people think like that. And as you go lower down the economic strata, which is me, biscuits are big and important. So.
No, listen, I mean, like,
we've learned, right?
Sugar, it's like, you can eat quickly, it's good. It's a good.
No, but I mean, it's like Survivor, Indian version. We've learned in that first month what are the important things, We are now prepared as a people to go out there and survive.
Exactly.
In terms of buy just the real essentials. What are they? Who are the important relatives you want to save?
Coke.
Who are the ones you want to push out and say COVID?
I realized
Diet Coke was not available in that. I'm talking about that early April part.
In the first, yeah. So I mean, like for me, Diet
I felt
Coke
ashamed because he shouted at me. The guy in the store, he told me, "Aapko Diet Coke hai?" Like, like you rich bastard. People just want water and things like that right now. I got a dirty look from just like racism.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, like, but it isn't essential. I mean, like, for me, I feel like Diet Coke is like, that's the one thing that I was...
You and Priyanka Chopra, right?
I was, when Diet Coke was not available for a couple of, I think there was a period of about 12 days where you couldn't get it, right? And I was not happy. I was like, fuck, this sucks, man. I mean, like, that's the one thing I was like, really kind of freaking out about.
I went through the same thing when Pornhub was sort of blocked for a little while. I can understand your pain. I was going up and down, screaming and shouting and eating biscuits.
Pornhub is blocked all the time. It's still blocked.
No, it's not.
Right.
Well, no, you need to know. You have to.
I have so much free time, my brother. Shall I log in and show you?
Okay, all right.
No, wait,
Cyrus
is it blocked?
Cyrus is teaching me tech. Exactly. Cyrus is teaching me tech.
May know nothing about tech, but his passion for art has made sure that he's been able to watch everything through this lockdown. The government can't stop me. I've learned so much about the ladies who I will never meet.
Oh, I had no idea porn sites were banned also. Like, what happened?
So we have this stupid rule, right, where basically anybody can make a case to the High Court and say, I want to ban this story. I want to ban this website because they're going to do piracy. Yeah. And what happens is that lists of literally thousands and thousands of websites are sent. We got caught up in this once. IVM Podcast got caught up in it once.
Really?
Where, like literally thousands and thousands of websites, URLs will be given. High Court would blanket say yes. And then, and it doesn't matter what high court. It could be like some random high court in like some small state somewhere. Yeah. They would say yes, and then everything gets blocked. But it would be a very, very poorly implemented block, right? So instead of using http://pornhub.com, if you used https:// it would work, right? So it was just
there's my expert. Send your questions to Amit Doshi at sexisback.com. Only on Cock and Bull. Yeah.
Similar thing happened with WeTransfer recently, where people were using it to send just dubious files or pirated files, and then someone ended up putting up a ban on them. And now it's banned in India.
I think WeTransfer should be banned in India because of pronunciation, because we Indians can't say we say we.
No, but there are so many of these sites like that, right? So WeTransfer is a problem. There is a problem with Streamable. Streamable is used for NBA highlights, right? So most NBA highlights that come up on like social media come from Streamable, and that's gone.
Silverie, don't let him start on the NBA. Whatever little listenership we have goes, you have to stop him immediately.
You know the NBA is coming back, right?
I know. I follow everything, brother. Yeah. But let me tell you, I want to talk about Darren Sammy for a second, if we can, and that whole racist quote, because Dudu is also a huge cricket buff. Dudu,
Yeah.
You followed the story. Have you seen
Yeah.
the Insta that they've
Is that true?
posted
I
of
don't.
Ishant?
I mean
Ishant Sharma?
that just feels fake when I saw that.
Look. Yeah, okay. So let's put it that way, allegedly and all that, because we're not 100% sure. And technology,
Yeah.
I have no idea if you can manipulate words in a system 5 years later. But the point of the matter is, in that, I'll just again set it up, that basically an Insta from 3-4 years back from Sunrisers Hyderabad, from Ishant's account, Ishant Sharma, the bowler. Oh, aisa baat karta hai na, that fellow. And he claims, well, he didn't claim, but in the word, do you have it, Amit? Does anyone have it?
I'm just looking at it.
I have
quote
just
the exact
read the
words.
news stories more than like watching the.
It actually
the
looks like it was
No.
real.
So he's used the line. Well, if it's real, the line is me with my pals. I'm paraphrasing. Bhuvi,
Me, Bhuvi,
Kalu, and the gun.
Oh yeah,
and Gun Sunrisers.
No, the gun I think is Dale Steyn. But Kalu is there. Clearly written there is the word Kalu.
Yeah.
Or Kalu.
Yeah.
However you want to say it. Now, if he's done that, I mean, he may be doing it, as friends and whatever, because we all make fun of our friends, different things and all that, which I want to specify is not necessarily racism. When 5 people are together, I can make Sindhi jokes. Doesn't mean I hate the Sindhi community. He can make Parsi jokes. So I think we have to just put that on the right perspective also.
Yeah, so it depends, right? In Darren Sammy's case on how, like he said, I want to now understand the context in which it was used.
Yeah.
Which is more important.
Correct.
Well, I doubt
he also didn't know the meaning of the word.
Yeah,
so
that's what he's saying. He didn't know what it meant until recently. Which is, man, I mean, it's messed up, right? I mean, it really is messed up.
No, but I'm saying if your teammates, the first idea was, and you have it in football more than any other sport, where you basically have these taunts, okay? You have these 5 jokers who come into the stadium, and like how after the Harbhajan incident in Wankhede, they were shouting monkey at poor Andrew Simons, I remember doing an event where I apologized and all to the Australian team. I felt it was just disgusting after a point. Even someone as vulgar as me was appalled. So, for Darren Sammy to go around the stadiums and one thing, and I'm not endorsing it, for the spectator, that moron out of 35,000, one moron or 10 morons saying something like that, for one thing. But if Ishant and all are saying it and he doesn't know what it is and it's pure racist jibe, maybe they don't mean it to be malicious, but it's a racist jibe. It's there on the record. It's from your teammate and you spend 3-4 seasons with them, so you have a decent relationship. It's a bit sad there.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's like a pretty bad environment, right, in the dressing room then. Plus, my point is, what I'm realizing, over the last week, the whole Yuvraj Singh incident, if you guys followed that.
Yeah, that also. But the cast is, but same thing.
Yeah, but my point is, see, there is no kind of process that these guys go through. I mean, they start playing cricket and anyway, education is not their most, and even in education, even we've started learning all these things very recently. So how do you get these people with so much access and so much this thing?
Okay,
so there should be.
Let's put it this way. We have a darker skinned friend or a fat friend or a bald friend or whatever. The jibes have happened. Let no one say they haven't had the jibes.
Yeah.
Especially smart mouths like all of us. All 4 of us are smart mouths. Okay, so that's for sure. My worry is that you can't just keep pointing fingers at other people and saying that prejudices are there in society. It's a question of intent and malice as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it's possible for you to...
very important.
If I make Gujarati jokes or Sindhi jokes or Punjabi jokes, I like all these communities. I have no malice in my... I would never feel bad to do that. Unless the person is really offended, I don't know them well enough, then you back off. It's the same thing. Now, Darren Sammy comes from the West Indies. The black thing is a big issue. You got to know that. You can't be stupid and say you don't know that. So it's perhaps one thing to do it with a darker skinned Indian friend in the privacy or whatever. It's another thing to, do it with him. I guess it's just pure insult.
Right. Again, the thing is, what is somewhat surprising over here is the sheer sense that you could put this in public. Right. That to me is the thing that I'm kind of surprised by. Right. I mean, this thing that you thought
he doesn't think it's bad.
He doesn't think it's bad.
Ishant is doing it in lovingly. I don't know. Again, I'm saying he's doing it the way we do it. We call it Chotu, Motu, Kalu, whatever. We have all kinds of names for each other. So he's doing it in that capacity. But unfortunately, once you go on social media, it's actually private, but it becomes public. It's always like that.
Yeah. So it's not private, it's public.
It's a private moment now you're sharing it because it is private in that sense.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that it's it's this kind of thing that exists in Indian culture, right? In a way which is, oh man, I mean wow.
We are very racist, Amit. What are you saying? Look at the ads for matrimony still continue. Look at the only country in the world where one of the largest products is Fair and Lovely. I mean, Fair and Lovely died everywhere else. Who gives a damn about it? But here it's growing every year. It'll grow through COVID.
Yeah, it will. Well, I guess COVID maybe not because we're all indoors, so maybe no. But
even Irfan Pathan made some very valid points.
I was just gonna make So Irfan Pathan, he posted on Twitter and then he got interviewed about this. He was talking about racism in India and facing
He takes
racism
it
as a
further,
cricketer. Yeah. So he basically said that racism is not restricted to the color of the skin. Not allowing someone to buy a home in a society just because you have a different faith is
Oh
part
God!
of racism too.
In Bombay, I have so many Muslim
Very true.
friends who have not been able to get homes because of their surnames, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, really.
And then he goes on to talk about racism that the South Indian players from the South would face while playing domestic matches. And
they get heckled, it's correct.
Yeah, they get heckled. Also talk about West Indies players, but especially Indian players from the South India also would face
He also spoke about Northeastern people who get their own share, as we very well know what they are called.
Well,
I mean, it's all bull, man. So I've given up. Because I personally believe that we are prejudiced people. Humanity is. And I think when you're in a group of people, we all have nicknames for each other and all that. And if our parents ever found out or the world found out, some of them are terrible.
Right.
But, it's all fine because it's just that group and there's a certain amount of affection.
Yeah, but what Amit said was so if you have a joke, but putting it in a caption or something.
Yeah, that's what.
Then without understanding context, even it could be,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really sad that Ishan, who's over 30 years old and is a well-traveled guy, he likes German Shepherd dogs. I mean, there's so much to like about him. But it's just sad that he didn't figure out that,
Yeah.
Because they were calling him Kallu, obviously, but he didn't know the meaning. Which most West Indians or Sri Lankans, if they've been abused a few times, you all pick up all the language of the subculture that you're in. So or you have Indian friends growing up in the West Indies, whatever, and so you know all these words here, like MC, BC, the racist slang and everything else.
Yeah.
So if he's really innocent to that, I mean, that's so sad that for 2-3 seasons they're calling him these names, but lovingly in a sense, but it's not lovingly for him. So that's it.
No, it's not. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I don't even know how else to react because again, you're right. The intent behind saying the word by the people who were saying it at that point, at least his teammates, was probably not derogatory. But at the same time, the word is so loaded. The whole situation is so loaded that how can it be anything but? But the fact is that people are not educated about this stuff, right? And they don't realize how hurtful some of this stuff can be.
I don't think it's education really. They were putting too much value in education. The whole thing is sensitivity. You have to understand where the joke is an insult. That's it. And you have to back off because then you're being insulting. That's it.
So I don't mean education as in formal education or reading papers about this. I mean education just in the sense of people around you telling you what works and what doesn't work and how you should interact with the world.
Like my daughter calls when I was working, I said, "You have chicken legs," and I started crying. So she stopped saying it. She just says, "You look like a chicken now," not specifically about that. So that's one thing. No, but again, I want to sort of confess here because I think people should also confess, just like Liam Neeson confessed to that whole incident about where he, became like a racist for a few minutes and said all black men are evil and I have to attack one of them because this girl got raped. Similarly, I think amongst ourselves, in our small groups or in whatever gatherings, we have all kinds of names for each other. I cannot believe you guys don't have. I cannot believe that growing up, Dudu or Silverie or Amit, Amit, you're called Bumpy for God's sake. You know you may not have liked that. That you do like it is another story. But I'm just saying, all this happens also. So to some extent, this prejudice and all only works when the person is taking offense. You can't have a general rule about it, that's one. But, when you come to a stadium, you disrespect the sportsman who's playing there and you call, abuse him. I remember when Yuvraj was fielding a match at CCI and they were shouting, and he had just got that cancer, but no one knew about it because he put on weight. So he was shouting, Jadia, Mother Joe, this, that, words like that. They were chanting non-stop at him and he was just fielding a square leg. And finally the skipper, moved him away. And it was I won't use the word Gora. It was a non-Indian skipper. And
you can say Gora. Goras have never been the victims of anything.
No, it's a reverse race. Yeah, okay. Soon it'll be a bad word. You never know. Look, I don't want to take offense. But so they moved him away but you're moving the guy away. The crowd is the criminal. You know what I'm saying? Right. That in the crowd, there were 5 guys screaming. So why would Yuvraj have to move? That whole thing doesn't make sense. Football, it happens all the time.
It happens
so
everywhere,
many stories.
Right? Yeah, it happens in all. It happens in all kinds of public interactions, right? But I would disagree with you where you would say that in some contexts it would be okay, right? Because I think that there are some aspects of if you're making comments which are specific, right, in some ways, right, then I think at that point you need to examine whether or not those comments are things that you should be saying, right? I think that that is something that people should be pay attention to, because I mean, like, you look at it from an anthropological perspective, right? Race is a social construct; it's not a biological construct, right? So we know scientifically that race does not exist as a thing. Right. So given that it is a social construct, since we know this kind of thing, we should call people out when they say this stuff, right? Because I hear people say this stuff all the time, right? It's not
But
uncommon.
5 yobs in Anfield Stadium who've probably not gone past their version of 10 standard, and their only knowledge is a little bit about football and no other interest in anything else in life. I mean, you can't explain to them the descent of man and how man has come from one sort of DNA and blah blah blah.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, like, see, there's no point in fighting every fight out there. I'm not advocating that at all, right? But I would say that when you're around people and those people make comments, you need to call that stuff out. We had a little bit of an incident in like one of the groups I'm a member of, right? Where it's a wide group. It's like some 75, 80 people, a lot of NRI types. And somebody said some shit about race. And I mean, like, it set off like a really, really kind of unexpected cascade of results, right? I mean, like, there was some really bad stuff said in that.
The Indian guy said it.
One Indian guy said it, and everybody jumped on him. And he ran away from that group at that point in time, right?
Typical Indian reaction. Very good.
Yeah. No, I'm glad, right? I mean, like, I don't want that person in the group if that's the way they're going to think about this stuff. I think.
Amit, I have a similar question for you for this. Like, I agree that we should be telling them the right thing to do. But just jumping on a person and him running away, is that going to change his behavior is the question. Like, obviously it's going to deter him.
Or he might even hate the race even more, because now he thinks that, it's the sort of, cause him to be hated.
If you're somebody in 2020 making explicitly racist comments, I mean, like, you're beyond redemption at this point in time. You might have racist thoughts, right? And if you have racist thoughts, but you understand that you need to police them. But if you're somebody who believes that I can make these comments instead of 50, 70, 100 people, then no. I mean, like, it's time for you to go into your hole and exist over there.
Yeah.
It's 2020. I'm sorry.
Also, we're talking about racist chants. When you go back to George Floyd, it's far beyond racist chants. The guy's got his foot on the guy's neck and for 9 minutes and hands in the pocket in the most imperial racist throwback to Texas of 1799 or something. I mean, that was the scary visual.
Today's the funeral, by the way. Today's
the funeral. Yeah. And how the world has reacted. I'm honestly, if I was those police officers, the main guy, the fellow with other, charges against him before and all that, if he goes into a prison, he's going to be murdered. I can't see him. He'll be murdered.
But I'm sure they will take care of him to make sure that he's not. And also, listen, the prisons have... There are lots of racist people in prisons as well. They have Aryan
the Nazi groups will look after him from the movies.
I mean, like, we're making a joke of this and making light of this and turning this into a gang war. But I mean, like, he should be in prison. I mean, like, there's no getting around that.
But, coming back to this whole thing, if you look at even Bollywood lexicon, I mean, I'm just talking about Sholay from our generation because that's so big and large and the younger guys will get it. Abhi O Kalia and those kind of references throughout the movie.
Kya hua dilwale.
Kalia, exactly. I mean, that's a full song.
Yeah.
So, which is, but you could, I mean, what do you say? The times were like that? I don't know.
Well, no, so see, that's the thing as well, right? I don't think that anybody should try and whitewash stuff. I don't think that, there's this interesting debate on Winston Churchill going on right now, right? I mean, like, I'm on, like, we've spoken about this before, and I feel very negatively about Churchill in many ways, right? But there is another side to the debate, right?
Which is that racist for the times is different from racist for this time.
Right.
That's what I feel. But
I think he was racist permanently or period, but
he was imperialist in terms of British supremacy. But it's different from racist completely. He believed that these races were not cultivated or sophisticated enough. So in that sense, he was racist.
Yeah, he was a British supremacist. He also thought he thought very poorly of the Irish, right? I mean, like, and they're as white as it gets in that sense, right? So it wasn't racism per se, but at the same time, it was
British imperialism.
And the fact is that, the thing is that as much of a racist as he was, and I don't accept his racism as an acceptable thing, even at the time. Everything I read about at the time also seems like his racism was beyond the pale, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Bengal stuff. Yeah.
No, not just Bengal. I mean, like, he had, like, bad interactions in Africa. He had bad interactions in the Mid East. I mean, like, everything was race driven. So, I mean, like, and even at the time, he was remarked on as a virulent racist, right? So, I mean, like, people thought of him like that.
I still like you use the word imperialist, but go on.
Yeah, but at the same time, I would also say that the fact that Hitler was not able to conquer Europe was in great deal because of Winston Churchill. he was a big factor in that, right? The fact that Hitler and the Nazis were defeated.
Well, there are 3-4 factors. One, 100% of the fight back, Battle of Britain, his speeches and his, rousing the entire public. But you have to remember the two big mistakes that Hitler made if you want to talk World War II.
Russia.
One is Russia. I mean, that was just ridiculous, absolutely stupid. And that was the beginning of the end. And then allowing the Japanese to bomb Pearl Harbor. Or not putting his foot down when they decided to do that. Because once you let the Americans in, whatever you say about the Yanks, they get the job done.
I also, like, with Amit's point, I read this article sometime back about, like, the words losing meaning. Like you said, racism, like Ishan Sharma calling him Kallu and George Floyd getting killed are both put in a similar bracket of racism. But
it's not.
It's not. It's like so severe. It's murder. And so...
Correct. Also, again, I'm not taking his side forever, but Ishant was not, I don't think, trying to be rude. He was trying to be funny, affectionate, not realizing the relevance of what he's saying for Darren Sammy.
Also, like the point about like those old movies and stuff, like even Justin Trudeau did apologize for the
blackface.
Yeah. So I think it's also like better to like understand with time than like
put it in perspective. Dudu, you'll make a great lawyer. The fact that you always leave things ambivalent. Ambivalence is the answer to everything if you want to survive in life. And you look at yes, Prime Minister, yes, Minister, ambivalence. It's all the answers. Fabulous. Wonderful. Listen, guys, we're getting buried with the racism debate. We need to save it for another day because it's too long. Should we go to the AMAs?
Let's do that.
All right, AMAs with Antariksh.
Hey everybody, welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. It really has been a great week this week. We've had two of our first international cricketers show up, people who have played for their respective sides. We had W.V. Raman come on Edges and Sledges, the cricket podcast. If you haven't heard that, you should be listening to that if you enjoy cricket. It's really one of the best out there. And you should also definitely check out Monty Panesar, who showed up on Cyrus Says. That was another really interesting conversation that occurred. If you haven't been listening to a few of our shorter shows, please do that as well. Ashish Vidyarthi has been doing a great job for us. We got 30 episodes now on Begin the Journey. I think you really enjoyed that show. If you haven't listened to it, it helps you with understanding what's going on in this tough time and how to deal with it from a mental health perspective. We've also had some really fun stuff come up on the Smile India show. Shifa's been doing a lot of really good stories over there. Things would just make you happy, so definitely do check that out. And on the more serious side, make sure that you're checking out our regular shows like the Pragati Podcast, All Things Policy. They're definitely going to keep you up to date on what's going on in this COVID world. And with that, let's get you on with your show.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me.
Okay, alright. This first one comes in from Siddhesh Overlekar. He says, hey Amit, Antariksh, Cyrus and the IVM team and guests. You guys have been doing an amazing job. Keep up the great work. And here are my two main points / questions. He goes on to say, number one, thank you so much, Amit, for recommending Bosch in one of the earlier episodes. I'm almost at the end of season 6 now.
Oops, this is early April when we started. Sorry.
Yeah. It's a while back. It's such an underrated show. None of my friends have ever even heard of it. So thanks for that. Yeah. Secondly, I want to ask Cyrus how he passes his time now that he's off alcohol. Has it affected his social interactions in any way? Well, I'm a 27-year-old, born and raised in Mumbai, currently living in Chicago, and I've been clean for almost 5 months. I know I'm not going back to alcohol, but at times it gets boring, and the drinking culture in America is just so big that it feels weird at times.
Okay.
Any out-of-the-box suggestions you guys have to pass my time in a productive way?
Let me just clarify. Let me clarify first that alcohol was, for me, a binge drinking issue. Because I would not drink every day. I wish I did actually now because it would have been cheaper. But we would drink a hell of a lot on Friday night. And Friday night would, finally, I would only wake up by Saturday evening. So I would lose 24 hours. In today's day and age, it would be a good thing because many days are anyway a waste of time. So I would be happy to go straight to Sunday. But in those days, it was terrible because as the years passed on, I've said this 100 times, the family and all were okay with it. My parents, how cute, he's drunk again, he's singing Italian songs, bus. And then 20 years later, some lady calls up and says, your son is in my house, but he's in my bed, not my daughter's, so I don't know what to do. And, those kind of things started happening, and yeah. True story, by the way. And then, so with the kids and stuff, I just had to stop it because the binge drinking just got out of control. This is a very again, a Western sort of thing, the binge drinking, the Friday nights, the Saturday nights, the lad culture. And that became really big for me. I used to look forward to Friday night like the big thing. From Monday, I'd be thinking Friday night, just get drunk, listen to songs, chase chicks, all that. And this is after marriage also. Let me tell you. So, Dudu, there's no need to do narcotics. Alcohol can keep you floating for some time. Say no to booze. Yeah, so no advice to our young gentleman, but he's being a little cocky, I think. 5 months, and you're just 27. Shit's going to fly. You might go back to drink.
But
you never know, I mean, he'll lose his job, he'll, get married, he'll have other problems, health issues, parents issues, war, famine. Look at the way the world's going. So I think don't knock alcohol. I always say I never know. I may go back. I have no idea. As of now, I'm okay, but, I don't know. I think, Amit, what's your story? Were you a binge drinker? You're more of a...
No, I've always been a light drinker. I mean, like,
So you
I
control
don't
it.
want to say that I've never binged. Of course I have, but at the same time, I'm not a regular binge drinker. I've always been like a 2-3 beer guy. I've never even drinks. I'm like, 2-3 drinks. Like, that's always been my...
So in other words, your cheapness has saved you. My cheapness
I
didn't
would
save
say-
me because I take
yeah.
everybody else's drink. I just didn't care. I've had so many obnoxious stories, you have no idea. And,
Yeah.
oh, God, one day
No,
we'll
but
just do those. Huh.
I think it's cheapness, but I also think it's just like I don't like getting drunk in public. I
Oh, I
don't
love it.
like being an ass.
Huh.
And so it's fear more than cheapness, I think. Like, I don't want to be perceived as an ass.
Yeah, fair enough. But I was already perceived as an ass, so it just continued. I was just now an ass who can't walk straight. That was the only difference. And stop touching my girlfriend. Those kind of things would happen.
wow. So I think, but
Wow.
like the advice. No, I'm just
An
imagining
inspiration.
being with
Say.
Cyrus when he's drunk. But so I hardly drink. I drank like during those college years, peer pressure. But since then, I've been very rarely. But I think
So when you have a
what-
good show, Dudu, when you have a good show with a lot of guys, colleagues and stuff, nobody parties
yeah,
up?
we do. But like I'll have a drink because I'm not too much. I'm not too heavy on food is my main.
But
thing,
the
to be
rest
honest.
the rest of the guys will be getting into the lad culture. It's a Friday night. You'll have had a big show. I'm sure it's happened. And other people are getting drunk. What do you do?
I'll have a drink. I'll have 2 small whiskeys or something at best. And then what I do is sometimes if I'm like just don't feel it, I just put some ice in water and be like I'm having water because
You
it's low
lie to
cal.
your peers.
I mean, yeah.
You fool.
If I don't want to.
This is like racism for me. You're insincere. You're insincere.
because I just don't want to explain it to people that
Yeah.
because they don't get it. They're like, oh, you don't
Yeah.
like drinking.
So I was that guy, Sid. I was that guy who would be going on, Dudu, why aren't you drinking? And I just put it in your mouth and I'd
Yeah.
make the drink and I shove it and let's have a shot and come on. People didn't want me around, some of the non-drinkers, I can tell you. Yeah. So yeah, but I get where you're coming from, that whole peer pressure thing. A lot of people, Rohit Roy, the actor, I remember he came drinking with us once and after 2-3 drinks he couldn't keep up. And he started doing the same thing. And finally, I think Kunal took the drink because he says he's keeping up with us and he's absolutely sober. Took a sip, it was just Coke.
That's
This is the
nice.
best acting Rohit Roy had done in a long time, by the way. Yeah. And you know how we get, right? You're like, what, not drinking? It's the reverse of what really should happen. Why do you drink? इसमें कुछ नहीं है, दारू नहीं है, गांडो, चूतिया, अरे बेटा इधर आ, ये पागल है, बादल, चुप, पी. I mean, it's acted out all over the country. The same story is so embarrassing. All right, do we have time for one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Let's do one more. This question comes in from Anuj Sharma. He says, hi Cyrus and gang. Writing to you after a long time. My question is, Cyrus, you've been meaning to turn vegetarian since ages. Now that some people believe that COVID might spread from consuming chicken and meat, I know it's a stupid theory, he says.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Do
That
you
doesn't
think this is
bother
the perfect time and excuse for you to go veg?
Okay.
As always, thanks for the love.
I am now one of the Philistines who absolutely against lockdown, lockout, fear, paranoia, don't do this, don't do that. So that, I don't know whether it's contrarian personality disorder or whatever, but I can't bear that. So COVID is not an issue for me in terms of what I'm eating or not eating. But vegetarian, I definitely will turn. I don't know how. I don't have the willpower yet. I have to earn money and all that, so I need all the normalcy to happen. But once I'm in a better position in my life, I'll slowly give it up. I don't know. But I try to list things that I do like in vegetarian. I love the potato. I like Gujarati vegetarian food. I'm not so kicked on South Indian, so I have to learn to appreciate that a little bit more. North Indian food, because lots of peas and potato and puris and paratha and all, always safe. But I have to expand the thing beyond what I do like to
Cyrus,
survive.
you don't like South Indian food?
I like South Indian food, but I like, the dosas and all the stuff that you get basically in Mysore, in that area.
Yeah.
I don't like the curd rice and also when I've traveled in the south with my crew and all, and they all go crazy about all that. And places where we couldn't get other food, I was like not a happy man. drinking milk quietly on the side. I remember one Times of India show for Femina outside Chennai, and there was just it was firstly the Jain thing, and also there was only veg, and there was just nothing but their menu, and that menu I wasn't very good with. But everybody else, like my wife loves it, my daughter, they all love all this food. And I was the only one who was like, and there was no Skotsi, there was no Swiggy. What kind of civilization did we have at that time? So I asked for milk. And I drank milk like a wrestler in the background.
Wow.
Looking at all these young women. Those young women didn't have a problem because they eat only Tuesday and Friday or something, in preparation for the walk on the ramp. This just boggles your mind. It's the most stupid thing. It's the least effort in the history of work. You walk from one end of the ramp to the other end of the ramp twice and then you go home. For which their preparation includes no food. I mean, it's just ridiculous. That's the preparation. Don't eat. Wash face. Put makeup, walk ramp back. The really dumb ones forget to come back, and they're like, Sheila, come back, you twit, back. It's like that. You're thinking of your little mongrel, you throw the ball, within 2 shots, he brings the ball back. And here you have ramp walking, women just walking into the audience, never to be seen again. Some of the great models we've lost because they had no idea that there's a walk back. Sorry, Dudu.
I guess we're never going to get a model on the show now today.
Oh, no. Models won't understand what we're saying.
That's true.
That's me. Then, of course, there's the male model who only wants to talk about abs. Have you ever been on a flight with a male model? And spend like 2 hours Bombay, Delhi? Yeah, man, my abs. Oh, 2-pack is showing, man. The 4th-pack is not showing, man. This is a conversation for 15 minutes is okay, but imagine for 2 hours.
Yeah, even 15 minutes, I think you're playing. That's not okay for 15 minutes.
I'd enjoy app conversations.
Yeah. But you would psych him out, no, Dudu? You'd keep telling him, I can't see it, yeah. This is finally the guy is completely disrobed, arrested by the airline because he's so irritated with it. Wait, let me hold my brats. Oh, boy. Are we done? We've gone over time.
Yeah, I think we're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Dudu, man. God bless. We'll see you soon.
Yes, it was fun.
I love that name. I'm going to call him Dudu for the rest of my life. Celebrity in Dudu. If these guys become the best comedians of India, it'll be so good to disrespect them in public. All right. Chalo. Bye, guys.
All right.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Bye.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you. We need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance. From stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.
Entertainment is like food for the brain. It's a window to culture and a great way to understand the world around us. The internet has changed what it means to be an entertainer, creating new storytellers with millions of fans. It has spawned a new breed, the story-sellers, those behind the scenes creating the business for this ecosystem. They work with brands, platforms and channels who are keen to capitalize on an audience hungrier than ever for more stories. I'm Vineet Kanabar, and I have a ringside view to how stories are told and sold. On my show, I bring you creators, artists, executives and marketers for a freewheeling conversation around the business of entertainment. Tune in to Storytellers and Storysellers for personal stories, analysis and criticism every Thursdays as I talk to the brightest minds telling or selling great stories today.